I want to bring up Dr. Brent. I call him Dr. Brent. This is a long time coming. I'm super excited to have him up here on stage with me. We've been planning this for multiple months, and he has a phenomenal story.
Thank you.
Tell us about you, your family, what you do for a living.
Sure. I work in emergency medicine. I kind of came to medicine late. I didn't get out and start working until I was over
Brent,
40.
can you hold that up a little close? Thank you.
That better for you? All right. And I, thought I've got to climb the ladder. I started working in the emergency department, then became a medical director, became a chief medical officer, and pretty soon I realized that's not what I want to do. I was working more and more and more hours, usually somewhere between 230, 240 hours a month, and that didn't include commute time. So was driving to work one day early morning, got called in because of a problem with one of my people, and happened to be listening, I think it was a Sunday, and was listening to Lifestyles Unlimited, and I said, whoa, this will work. This is what my father-in-law used to talk about. And so that's kind of when I got hooked and joined in May of 2019.
All right. You have a family too, right?
I have a family. I've
couldn't
got
be
a
here
wife,
tonight.
and they couldn't be here. I've got a wife and 4 sons, and that was part of my impetus, is to really learn how to do this so I could maybe teach my boys so that they could do something similar and be comfortable doing what they want to do and not have to jump through all the corporate hoops.
All right. So let's take a look. This was your first acquisition, right?
It was, yes.
Okay. And how do you pronounce the name of this city?
This is Italy.
That's right. This is not Italy, not halfway across the world. Italy, Texas.
Down on 35.
Yeah.
Straight down 35. It's just south of Waxahachie and just east and south of Mansfield.
Okay, so this isn't thriving metropolis DFW. This is
It is
a
not.
tertiary market.
It is.
Okay. All right, good. And these are some before and after pictures of it. It actually looks very similar on the outside. Couple touch-ups, new roof, but it was a heavy lift.
It was.
So let's take a look at the inside.
Because the inside was a bit rough.
It had been probably 40, 50 years since it had been touched, right?
I would say that would be kind, yes.
That would be kind? Okay.
And some of the pictures you don't show are rooms that had been touched, and they were painted purple and green, some color of blue with mirrors on the wall. It was interesting.
That was an interesting
Why didn't you keep those colors? They're hot.
I know, but not for the market I was looking for.
Right. Okay. So that's the before. Now let's take a look at these numbers real quick. 146 was the appraised price, and you bought it for $65,900.
Correct.
It was a heavy lift, so you put in $50,000. And we talked back and forth quite a bit after that bid came in, and
We did.
and used your mentorship.
I did. The initial bid was a little over $50,000, and I had a great general contractor, but I also said I wanted to do some of the things myself, or at least try to bid them out, which I did, and saved me a little bit of money. And so, working with Chris, I was able to find a roofer who also put in the fence for me in the backyard, and saved $2,000 or $3,000 doing that.
Okay, that's great. And then cash out of pocket here, under $17,000. This was July of 2020, so really not that long ago. I still keep it under that amount, and also in the DFW Metroplex, so this is phenomenal. $24,200 in equity capture the day you closed,
Correct.
right? Okay, so we were running numbers before we got up here on stage. Actually, your first appraisal came in this month a year ago, right?
Correct.
Okay, and it came in higher than anticipated, is that right?
Yeah, it was $150,000.
Okay, so from the time of acquisition to the time of refinance took about 3 months.
Right.
Okay, and it went up $4,000.
Correct.
And let's see, so we went from 146 to 150. I guess I'll put a K in here, right? And we just ran numbers this evening at, do you remember?
It was about $188,000, $190,000.
It was 195 was the CMA today. That was based. So we took your $24,200 in equity, and then we added another, what's
45.
45,000 right there. And what's that called? Starts with an APPREC.
Appreciation.
Okay, appreciation, right? So if we do a little bit of math right here, that's a 2, 5, 9, 4, 5, 6, $69,200 in actual physical equity sitting in that property. What is 69,200 divided by 16,800? It is a 412%.
I like it. So, one of the things I did want to share is I did everything wrong that I was told not to do. Just after joining Lifestyles, I changed jobs. That's a big no-no because nobody wants to lend you money. I went from being a W-2 employee to a 1099 employee. Hadn't changed what I do, but every bank looked at me and said, yeah, you're smoking crack. We're not going to touch you for 2 years. And I thought, well, gee, I've just spent all this money and I'm not going to be able to do much anything. And fast forward 8, 9 months from when I joined, and I was biding my time and saving money, went down to the expo in Houston and ran into Austin Poole with Catalyst Funding and Security National Mortgage. And I talked to him and he says, you haven't changed your job? You still do what you do? You got good credit. Oh yeah, we can help you. And they've already funded 2 deals, and I'm
So
looking
they
at
help
the third
doctors
one.
to do crack, right?
They do, and I like it.
Excellent. So this one, $1,250 a month in rent. We ran numbers again. You're about $100 under market.
Easily.
Easy. I mean, right now it's cash flowing $395, $4,700 a year. That is a 28.2 cash on cash return. Nothing
And
to sneeze
I was
at.
very nervous because it was my first deal, and I still literally, and especially because of COVID, I'm still working close to 200 hours a month. So I did get a property managed firm in. I actually did all the work. The only thing they did was run a credit check on the people that I sent to them. If I'd just done it myself, there'd be another $85 a month in there. So it'd be $480 a month that I'd be clearing.
Okay. Awesome. I mean, what's the technical term for that? Do you remember?
Yeah, pee in your pants.
That's right. There you go. All right, but you didn't stop at one.
I didn't.
You bought another one since.
I did.
Okay, that one's on Rebecca Lane, right?
It is. That's up in Arlington.
That was more of a turnkey.
It was. It
Kind of like Jeff's, had a tenant in place.
had a tenant in place. I didn't have to do much anything, and I was going.
Resident had a
Oh, excuse me,
residence
a
in place.
resident, and they wanted to stay in the house, and I was perfectly happy to just start cash flowing.
All right. So, without all this added math up here, after we ran the numbers, you were doing really well.
Mhm.
When we ran more numbers, it looks really well,
Yes.
right? Are you going to hold these houses, or you think you're going to call a realtor?
I've already had a realtor call me and sent me a letter, and so I'm thinking pretty seriously about selling these and turning it around and putting it into a multifamily or a few more single families if I can find the right deals.
Right. Okay. So this is a statement you made, right? This is what Lifestyles has done for you and your family. Can you expound a little bit upon that? Share with the group
Sure.
here what Lifestyles has done for you.
I mean, I work a lot of hours, and it's tough. And with COVID, it's become even tougher. And I'm away from my family a good percentage of the time, and I don't like that. I want more time for me. I want more time for my family. But I also want to ensure that they are taken care of financially once that I can't work anymore. And I think that Lifestyles can do, I know Lifestyles can do that for me. And that's kind of what I'm working toward, is so that if I choose to continue to work, I can, or I can sit at home and do things on my property and spend time with my family and still have income.
That's great. Now, we were standing over here, and you made a comment to me. If you won the lottery, what would happen?
I'd quit my job as a doctor,
But what would you continue to
Tuesdays.
do?
but I would still do this because I like it. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and I would have things to keep me occupied because you can't just sit at home all the time.
Yeah, it's a rewarding business. Okay, so your team, a couple of them are here. At least one of them's here.
Yeah.
You want to give a shout out?
I do. Austin Poole with Catalyst Funding. Fred Lynch, obviously, he's the general contractor with year-round construction. Greenworks did great. CNC Insurance, John Alexander. Omni Realty is the company that I work with, the management company. And then obviously Anna Ortiz and Michonne Childers, I'm sorry, were the single family agents that I worked with, and then obviously Chris Wyatt.
Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to work with you. You know, you're one of those members that actually uses the mentorship, even though you broke everything up front.
Oh, I did.
You were able to put it back together, and you've really done some great things, made it successful.
Well, thank you.
You will eventually leave a wonderful legacy, and look forward to seeing what you're doing in the future. Are there questions? Did you want to say something? You always
No, I'm
want-
waiting for questions.
Oh, okay. Now, you always want to say something.
I always want to. I'm trying to bite my lip. Lori she goes, why are you standing up here without Chris? I go, well, Chris kind of smells funny. No, I'm joking.
Okay. All right. We do have one question over here. You going to pick on him?
No, I'm not going to pick on him.
Okay.
I got to find a microphone.
Where did the
Oh.
microphones go?
This is my one that has dents in it. That's when people talk back. There you go, Ben.
How'd you go about finding this house?
So this came as an email blast, and it was actually a wholesale deal. I was actually third in line. The first was a couple out of California, and then when they Googled it, said, oh, that's 45 minutes south of Dallas. That's way too far out. We won't make any money. The second one stepped aside, and there I was. And
So that's about fear right there, right? He wasn't scared. Two people before him were scared because they've all made these same returns. Take your emotions out of it and decide the numbers make sense or don't. You see, that's not an emotional decision. You got to get the emotion, and other people are emotional. So.
And as was pointed out to me, even if tomorrow a lot of that equity went away, it's still cash flowed no matter
Exactly.
what. And I could ride out that wave, and if I couldn't sell it in a year, 2 years, 5 years, I could hold it for 7, continue to cash flow, and then sell when the market rebounded. So I was
you
comfortable.
see, even when he has a make-up thing about the economy crashing in Texas, which is not going to happen, even a zombie apocalypse for 7 years, he'd still be okay. Does that make sense? Because real estate's so forgiving. But just so we know, a recession, let's see, Hayek versus Keynesian economics. Who knows what I'm talking about, right? How long does a recession last? How many years?
1 to 2.
18 to 24 months. So you can always write it out. He has a 30-year loan on there at probably 4%. I don't know. What are you paying? Do you remember? Oh, you probably
3 3/8, something like that.
Yeah, 3 and something. So is that okay? It'll still cash
Yeah.
flow is his whole point. His point is that's why I love real estate. We can write out anything. Okay? Great question. Yes, sir?
You said that was a wholesale deal. Can you talk a little bit more about what that means and is it good or bad?
So as a wholesale deal, it was brought, I guess, to, and you can probably speak to it better than I, but there are certain vendors that will have deals and they will contact Lifestyles or other people to say, hey, I've got a house, you know, we're interested in selling it, this is what we're going to sell it for. It's a little different than the standard deal where you walk in and you might have, you know, 2 weeks to do all the various things you need to do your due diligence. This, you've got to kind of pony up anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 right up front, and if you can't make the deal happen, you lose your money. But I was confident in it. I knew this area because I used to drive right by it to one of the jobs I used to commute with, you know, 2 to 3 times a week. So I was comfortable. I knew it was close enough to local schools and everything else. I was sure that, assuming that the house was in decent shape, and that's why I went over and looked at it when they had the open house with Fred. He came over to look at it as a GC, that it made sense. The numbers were right.
And in simple language, what a wholesale deal is, off-market deal. It's not on MLS where everybody looks for properties. There's no competition. If you want it, you're buying it. Who likes that? But the disadvantage is you need to have experience when you deal with that. Now, he didn't have experience. But what did he have?
I had
A mentor to help him walk through that deal. So when we talk about wholesale deals, I'll teach about them in my seminar this weekend. I want you to be working with a mentor when it comes to a wholesale deal. I'll show you how to find properties on your own, but you want to do MLS deals if you're new. Otherwise, you can work with a mentor and go through those deals. Just a little more complicated.
And it's
Did
not
we
just
video
this.
chat through this one?
We did that on another one.
Okay.
And that was one that I was afraid of and wouldn't step into, and I'm sure that somebody has made a lot of money on it.
Yep.
But I will tell you, today, I was looking at another wholesale deal, and I got the information last night. I shot it down to Austin and his group. They sent me back all the information I needed to say, yes, we can do this deal with these numbers. It makes sense, and we'll fund it. So when I'm walking in, I know that I've already got the funding in place.
So
I
you
don't have
notice
to
he has
worry
a
about
team
it.
around him. He's not just going in blind. He's doing his due diligence. He's listening to what his mentors taught him, and that's how you mitigate your risk. It's action, but also knowledge behind the action. You just don't do stuff. You mimic success. That's what we teach here. Great. All right. Well, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
sharing your
Thank
story,
you.
guys. Really appreciate it.